Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, we will start by the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Today's lesson of Tajweed. But before we start, we will make dua. Inshallah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad wa barik wa sallim. Rabbi yassir wa la tu'assir وَتَمِّمْ بِالْخَيْرِ. Okay, this is the dua. We are asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it easy for us and not to make it hard, and to bring us to the end of the course. Although this is for now, it's going to take a while to cover all the rules, and my intention is, inshallah, that we will continue it as a course slash halaqa as well. So we keep on revisiting the important rules, and then once we are finished with the basic rules of tajweed, which actually are good enough to recite the way we are supposed to recite the kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we will also learn about the advanced concepts, and and as I said, that the basic rules that we are learning now are more than enough for us to recite the Quran properly. But learning, for example, what was the link of the recitation, that has reached us. How has it reached us? Through which of the scholars it was? What were their names? What is the chain? Okay, because people who have ijaza, as I mentioned last time as well, that I have ijaza as well. So how does that chain work? Ijaza, what does it actually mean, and how it connects through the shuyukh all the way to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then to Jibril alayhi salatu wasalam, and to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whose kalam it is. So inshallah we'll be covering those as well later on. So let us start, as we have decided, with one recitation of one page. Today we will do page number 5, because we did last time page 3 and 4. So we'll do page 5. So everyone recite along with me. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وبشر الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات أن لهم جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار كلما رزقوا منها من ثمرة رزقا قالوا هذا الذي رزقنا من قبل وأتوا به متشابها ولهم فيها أزواج مطهرة وهم فيها خالدون. إن الله لا يستحيي يستحيي أن يضرب مثلا ما بعوضة فما فوقها فأما الذين آمنوا فيعلمون أنه الحق من ربهم وأما الذين كفروا فيقولون ماذا أراد الله بهذا مثلا يضل به كثيرا ويهدي به كثيرا وما يضل به إلا الفاسقين الذين ينقضون عهد الله من بعد ميثاقه ويقطعون ما أمر الله به أن يوصل ويفسدون في الأرض أولئك هم الخاسرون كيف تكفرون بالله وكنتم أمواتا فأحياكم ثم يميتكم ثم يحييكم ثم إليه ترجعون هو الذي خلق لكم ما في الأرض جميعا ثم استوى إلى السماء فسواهن سبع سماوات وهو بكل شيء عليم صدق الله العظيم. Just want to check one thing. Okay, that's good. All right. So let us see now where we had reached in our Tajweed lessons. So I went through it and I figured that today we will be doing the rules of Ra or ruling of Ra. But let me just show you the table of contents just so that you are also with me. So let us go, yeah, right here. Okay, so we started with Al-Qalqala, as you remember, the 5 letters. What are the letters of Qalqala? Qutub Jad, Qaf, Ta, Ba, Jim, Dal. Okay, I'm not going to get into it, but just a very brief overview. Qaf, Ta, Ba, Jim, Dal, whenever they are Saakin, we make Qalqala. Then we did the heavy and the light letters, okay, or the rounded and the flat letters, you can say it that way, or the full mouth letters. So there's so many ways of referring to them in Arabic. Heavy would be حروف التفخيم and light will be حروف الترقيق. Okay, so we did them. And what are the heavy letters? خص ضغط قذ خص ضغط قض خا صاد ضاد غين طا قاف ظا. So it's always good to memorize that combination. All right. And among these 7 letters, there are three that are slightly lighter, meaning that they are not that forceful towards the rounding, and therefore kasra um, pulls them toward flatness, which are ghain, qaf, and kha. So these letters are they tend towards flattening. Um, so fine. Then we did Lamul Jalala, or Lam in the exalted name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is that? That whenever you see Allah, the word Allah, if it is preceded by Fatha or Dhamma, then the Lamul Jalala, Lam in the name of glorious name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, will be read Mufakham, or rounded. And if the Lamul Jalala, that is the Lam in the glorious name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is preceded by a kasrah, then it will be read flat. So what's the example of that? Like if I say Bismillah, Bismillah, as opposed to Bismillah, that will be wrong. Bismillah is wrong. Bismillah, A'udhu Billah, Inna Lillah. And then if I say Huwallah, so wow, which is right before it, has a fatha. So it will be the Lam al Jalala will be Mufakham, rounded. Allah, Hamzatul Wasl, okay, before Allah, or the word the Lam al Jalala will assume a fatha, and therefore the Lam al Jalala will be rounded like this. So let's move on. So I'm just going through the topics that we have already covered, but just briefly mentioning their what the rule is all about. Now today we came across this one, ruling of raw, okay, letter, ruling of raw letter being heavy or light. So now before, let me just go to that topic. Okay, it's a chart. We'll go through it, but before that, I want to show you mouth pictures. Okay, so I want to show you the makhraj of ra, okay, as presented by this diagram here. So if I do like that, normally you are basically told that okay, ra, you take the tip of the tongue and you touch the at this point, towards the end of the dome. Here is the dome. Let me grab my pen so that I can start illustrating. Just as soon as it appears. Here we go. Okay, and make it a little fat. Okay, so here it is. Oops, not showing very well. Okay, like here. So this is where the makhraj of ra would be, there and there. So as you can see that both places it's same. What's the difference between the two? Well, you can visually see what's the difference. So if I do like this here, okay, and then if I follow the same curve here, what happened? Look at this. Look at the back of the tongue, raised. Okay, that's the general rule for rounding any letter. If you want, for example, all of the huruf tafkhim, the rounded letters, have the back of the tongue raised. Okay, and huruf tarqiq would have the back of the tongue relaxed or flattened in the back like that. This is the main difference. Okay, so now same thing, raw as well. Raw, how can we make it mufakham, or rounded? By raising the back of the tongue as it is raised here. Sorry, let me just take that out. So as you can see, the back of the tongue is raised. Okay, and that's why it's called ra ul mufakhama. Ra ul mufakhama. Okay, the rounded raw. And here الراء المرققة. flattened, or yeah, flattened raw, you can say, or light raw, and look at the tongue. So that's how you do it. That's how you would make the raw rounded and make the raw flat. Now, what governs the rule? What is the rule that tells us where to make the raw rounded and where to make the raw flat? Okay, let's look at the rule. So let's go back to our tajweed notes, and let me take away these lines, and let's start looking at this chart here. Okay, let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger. Okay, move this away. All right, let's start. So ruling of raw being heavy, that is mufakhama, or you can say um, let's say rounded, but an approximate. Rounded. It's an approximation, okay, rounded, because this sometimes is misunderstood, and this one will say flattened, Ttened, flattened. Okay, so but many people they misunderstand, and you know how they round a letter, how they make it mufakham by rounding the mouth. For example, one of the letters which is mufakham is kha. So they will actually do the kha instead of raising the back of the tongue as they should. They round the mouth and say ho, ho, go, ko. Okay, which is wrong. This is wrong because kha has nothing to do with the lips. Kha is not one of the lip letters. Same thing, ghain is not a lip letter. It's a throat letter. Kha is a throat letter, and qaf is not a throat letter, but it's right beside the throat. So it is very, very close to the throat letter. So all of them are mufakham, rounded, but by raising the tongue in the back and not by rounding the mouth. That is a mistake. Okay, so let me take this away now. Okay, here we go. So rounded and flattened, fine, we use it in a very, let's say, approximate and rough manner. But the actual technical name would be in tajweed mufakhama or muraqqaqa, or the process of making it heavy or light or rounded or flattened is the process for making it rounded is called a tafkheem, and the process of making it light or flattened is called a tarqeeq, a tarqeeq. Okay, so that's the process. All right, now let's start. So now raw being heavy or light depends on the haraka on raw. Okay, so that's the general um, rule. The general rule is that we look at the haraka on the raw. So the haraka could be fatha or dhamma or kasra, right? And it could be also a sukoon. If the haraka is fatha or dhamma on the ra, meaning the ra is here. Here's your ra. If it has a fatha or a dhamma like this, then it will be read heavy or rounded. This is an easy rule. Okay, rounded. This one doesn't look nice here. rounded, rounded. Okay. So this one is done. So this branch, let me just take all of these away and move this above a little bit. Okay. Oh, there's lots in the. Okay, we will have to move as we go. So doing this branch, if the raw has fatha or dhamma, it will be heavy. Okay. If let's do the other one. If the raw has a kasra, meaning that dash under the letter, it will be light. Done. Now, if the raw has a sukoon on top of it, then the fun begins. Then you have to do more things. You have to do more acrobatics here. And let's see now. Let me take all of this away and I'm going to move this up a little bit. So now we are doing this branch here. We are doing this middle branch. We are doing this middle branch. Okay, raw has a sukoon. So what do we do? As soon as we see a raw with a sukoon, we look at the previous letter. Okay, so let me now move it up. Okay, we look at the previous letter and then the possibilities are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the 5 possibilities. We will look at them. Let me, oh, I have to do a lot. Okay, so as you can see that raw being sakin or having a sukoon on top of raw can potentially make us look for so many possibilities. Rather, not potentially, but you have to look up what is this the situation, or is this the situation, or is this the situation, or this or this. So we have to consider all of these. If you look at our website and the main page here, you will see this one to the third one here. The third one here says tajweed, and here also the rules of raw are presented right here, right here. Okay, and there are, if you count them, is 14 rules. 14 rules. The one with the fatha or dhamma or kasra are just like I think is the first one, and the rest or most of them are because of the raw sakin or sukun being on the raw. So let us go back now. It this is so it's not like I don't want to discourage anyone that oh my God this is so hard. No, you get used to it. It's like learning to ride a bike. Okay, yeah, initially it's a little bit hard. Okay, you'll probably fall, you'll get some scrapes here and there, but then eventually you will learn. It's like learning to drive a standard car that hands and both hands actually, one on the steering, one on the gear shift, and then both legs, everything is going, all your 4 limbs are going, okay, and everything is doing, every limb is doing something different, but then later on they all get coordinated as we practice. So this is similar situation as well, is that yes, it may look a little bit complicated, but inshallah, once we get a hang of it, inshallah, it will come naturally. Okay, so now again, the situation of raw having sukoon on it. We will look at these examples now. Um, if the raw has sukoon on it, then the first thing we are going to do, we will look at the previous letter. So we will look at the previous letter. Okay. If you find a fatha or dhamma on the previous letter, or alif or waw, okay, then you will pronounce the letter heavy. If you find, so this is this branch here, this branch. And if you find a kasra, okay, which obviously is under the letter or below the letter, then you will pronounce it light, except for these situations. So here you can see that there is a ra here, which is preceded by a letter with a kasra, but in this case we will make it either heavy or light. Let me take this away so that I can scroll the chart up a little bit. There we go. So when we find that there is a kasra on the letter before ra, that is sakin, then we will we will read it in a in as light, like as a with tarqiq, except in these situations. So this situation here, this word firqin or firqin, we can do either. You can do both. Okay, firqin because of the kasra here, and firqin because of the roundedness of the qaf. So heaviness because of that, and lightness or tarqiq because of the kasra on the fa. That's why you can do either heavy or light. Both are accepted here. But in this case here, we will do them um, rounded or heavy. Why? Because look at the letter that is coming right after. Let me get my pen again. Okay. So here is your raw sakin. The letter right after is a sod. Okay, here also raw sakin preceded by a letter with a kasra. Same thing here, preceded. Let me draw a little arrow. Preceded by a letter with a kasra. Same thing here, preceded. Raw sakin preceded by a letter with a kasra, but followed by a sod, which is a heavy letter or extra heavy letter, because remember we divided the heavy letters or the rounded letters into two groups. Groups one a subgroup being slightly lighter than the other one, that is ghain, kha and qaf are slightly lighter, but sad, dad, ta, dha are very heavy. Why? Because you have the two forces working on them. The force due to isti'la, back of tongue being elevated, and the force of itbaq, that the tongue having adhesion towards the the roof of the mouth, the palate. Okay, so you get two forces moving it up, so they become very, very strongly rounded. So that's why, how are we going to recite this? Labil mir, round the ra. Mir sadi. This one, mir sada. Okay. And these examples here, because of the following letter in the same word is heavy, so how are we going to do this one also? Firqatin. See, we rounded the ra. Fir, although it's preceded by a letter with a kasra, but because it's followed by a rounded letter, so we will round it. Fir, fir, not fir, not fir, not ra, but ra. Firqatin, this one. See, it's a rounded letter. Ta. So qaf with a kasra, okay, is preceding the raw sakin, but because it is being followed by a heavily rounded letter, we are going to round it. Qir, not kir, not kir, not ra. Qir, qirtas, qirtas. Okay, here raw sakin preceded by a hamza with a kasra. I hope you can see it. Maybe it might be too small. Okay, let me let me make it a little bit big. Okay, I'm just thinking maybe it might be okay. That might be nice. There we go. It's like putting this under the microscope. Here we go. Maybe another one. There we go. MashaAllah. Okay. All right. So let me identify the raw sakin. As you can see it right here. Raw sakin. Raw sakin. Raw sakin. Preceded by a letter with a kasra. In this case, fa with a kasra. In this case, qaf with a kasra. In this case, hamza with a kasra. Okay, but again, the first example, qaf is a rounded letter, mufakham. So therefore, because of this, we will read the ra rounded, although it is preceded by a kasra. But this is the exception. So we are going to read it like this. Fir, fir. I'm just exaggerating slightly. Fir, qatin. Okay, in this case, qi and the raw sakin, but followed by a heavily rounded letter that is ta. Qir, qirtas. In this case, okay, raw sakin preceded by a letter with a kasra, but followed by a heavily rounded letter sad. So, how are we going to do it? Wa, ir, ir, not ra, but ra. Wa ir, sada, wa ir, sada. Okay, so this is going to be heavy. Raw sakin will be heavy in these cases. And we did this before. Labil mirsad. Labil mirsad. Sad is the heavy letter that is making the raw mufakham or rounded. Same thing here. Mirsada. All right. Okay, let me take this away now. Oh, and this one, let's just do this one again. So this word here is, we can do heavy or light. Either is acceptable. So we can say firqin or fir, firqin, firqin or firqin. Both are acceptable in this case. Okay, let me take this away now. And oops, sorry. This one, and make it a little bit small so that we can see what we have already covered. Okay, let us do now. So we are looking at raw, which is sakin. Raw, when it is sakin, we have to look at the previous letter. If the previous letter has fatha or dhamma or alif or waw, then that is alif or waw sakin in this case, then we will read the raw sakin heavy or mufakham. If it is preceded by a letter with a kasra, then we will read the raw sakin light or muraqqaq, except in these situations which we just did. Okay, now if raw is sakin but the previous letter is also sakin, oh, now what do we do? Are we in trouble? Well, alhamdulillah, no, because there are rules for that as well. So what do we have here? Ra is sakin and the previous letter is also sakin. Then what are we going to do? We will do these things here. Then we have to look at the haraka on the letter that is previous to the previous letter. Meaning that if here is your Ra, which is sakin, then the previous letter, whatever it is, I'm just going to draw a little rectangle here. If the previous letter also is sakin, then you got to look at the letter that is before that. And then if that letter before has a fatha or dhamma, fatha or dhamma, then the ra sakin, this one, it will be pronounced heavy. Okay. Exceptional cases are like wa, okay, fa asri wa nuduri yasri, like this. Okay, these are exceptional cases. But generally, ra sakin will be heavy if the letter previous to the letter which is sakin has fatha or dhamma. Okay, let me take this away. Let's do this branch. This branch here. So ra has a sukun. The letter before has a sukun. Then the letter before again ra has a sukun. The letter before has a sukun. And then this letter before has a kasra. So this kasra is going to make this ra sakin here flat, flat, light, flat or light. Except for these words here, al-qitr, misr. Okay, in this case, misr will be, this ra is here is going to be, misra will be heavy, and al-qitri will be light. Okay, so ra, in this case, when we stop, the ra will become sakin, and we will read the sakin ra, in this case qitr, light, and when we stop on this ra, we will read it heavy. Misr, misr, ra, heavy. In this case qitr, it will be read light. There we go. So now we have done all these branches. Now let us look at this branch. If the ra sakin is preceded by a hamzatul wasl. What is hamzatul wasl? Hamzatul wasl, we discussed it a little bit before as well. Hamzatul wasl is like this alif symbol with this symbol on top. What is that? That is actually the head of the letter Sad. That's what it is. So they just take this part and they put it up there. That's what this is. So now this represent, okay, it's called actually Hamzatul Wasl, and it is used whenever you are starting from that word. Okay, but if you are continuing to read, then Hamzatul Wasl drops out. Okay, I think here I'm going to show an example. Let's go to the Mus'haf here. Let's go to the Mus'haf. Let it come. Okay, so normally you find a lot of examples in the Mus'haf. For example, here, uh, yeah, let's just look at this one here. Just any, so here you have your Hamzatul Wasl. Now, I mean, normally we would read in a continuum, right? In a continuous manner like this. We don't stop after every word. So in case we are reading continuously, so we will read fil arb, fil arb. So what happened in this case? Hamzatul Wasl dropped out. It went out. It was not used. And then fa went and joined directly. Fa went and joined directly with the lam. Hamzatul Wasl was completely ignored. It was not used at all. Okay. But if you wanted to actually refer to this word, uh, then you have to use the hamzatul wasl. For example, I go back now. So for example, if I wanted to refer to this word, then I will, I have to use the hamzatul wasl. Okay, in Arabic, nothing starts without a movement. Okay, a word does not start with a silent letter. Like in English, you can say school, right? School. So it's like a silent. I mean, like there is no vowel here. Oops, sorry. S-C-H. Sk. So the vowels only appear here, but there is no vowel here. Okay. But in Arabic, you need a vowel to start. So that's the rule. So fil ard, if I wanted to start from here, I cannot say lerd, lerd. No, you cannot say it. It doesn't work. I need to put a vowel, and that hamzatul wasl is going to serve that purpose. And because this part of this word is a noun, ard, the earth. Ard is the earth. It's a noun. So this part always hamzatul wasl and lam combination. Hamzatul wasl will always assume a fatha. Fatha. Okay, like in this word here, khasirun, the losers, or meaning is something to that effect. Okay, khasirun is a plural. That's the noun. Okay, plural. And here is your al, hamzatul wasl and al combination. So because this is a noun that is coming afterwards, so hamzatul wasl will always have a fatha. Al khasirun. But when you read it in a continuum like this, then you do not use hamzatul wasl. Comes out humul khasirun. Humul khasirun. Okay, so hamzatul wasl came out. All right, let's go back to our tajweed notes. Okay, so now we are doing this part now. I'm going to make this big now. Big, big, big. Okay, so what does it say? Ra is sakin. Look at the previous letter, and if the previous letter is hamzatul wasl, okay, then we will have these situations. Um, let's look at the first one here. Look at this one here. So how do we read this here? A, hamza fatha a, meme kasra a mi, and then this meme is going to go and join. So we are reading in a continuum like this here. Amir, so Amir, Tabu, but we are going to, what are we going to do to the raw? We are not going to say, effectively, we know that Hamzatul Wasl is going to go out. We are not going to read the Hamzatul Wasl because we are reading in a continuum. So we got and then irtabu. Okay. So when we're reading in a continuum, Hamzatul Wasl is going to go out. So we cannot say, well, effectively, Ra Sakin is preceded by a letter with a kasra. It is indeed, but because there is a Hamzatul Wasl before that, which is actually a temporary kasra, because if you were to say this word, you will say irtabu, irtabu. This is a temporary kasra, but it goes away because we are reading in continuum. So we are going to, in this case, read the raw, mufakham or heavy. How are we going to read it? Amir, Amir, not Amir, not Ra, but Ra. Amir tabu, Amir tabu. Again, recall that Ra mufakham. What do? You raise the back of the tongue. Raise the back of the tongue. Okay, see that? Ra mufakhama, raise the back of the tongue. That's how you round the ra, not rounding the mouth, ro, like that. That's wrong. Some people do that, and it sounds very awkward too. Ra has nothing to do with the lips. It's not a lip letter, it's a tongue letter. Raising the back of the tongue. Okay, and then when you want to make the ra flat, then we will drop the or relax the back of the tongue and make it more or less flat. Okay, so Amir Tabu. Okay, the next one here. Alladhi. So this is Alladhi. So why is it Alladhi? Again, Hamzatul Wasl followed by a noun here. So Al. Hamzatul Wasl and Lam. Al. Alladhi. And then when we are reading in a continuum, okay, Hamzatul Wasl is going to go out. Okay, and then this and another thing that happens, although this is a mad here, right? Dal, ya, kasra is a mad. Two haraka mad. You do not say alladhir. No. Then when you join a word that is ending on a mad with another word, then the mad also gets dropped out. This also goes out. And the dal is going to join with the ra. So this dal is going to go and join with the ra directly. Okay, here. الذي ارتضى الذي ارتضى. So again we're going to make the raw sakin heavy, although we are coming from a letter with a kasra, but because this raw sakin is preceded by a hamzatul wasl, which actually is not used in this case. Regardless, raw sakin will be read mufakham, rounded. Let's do this case here. Okay. رَبِّرْحَمْهُمَا. Remember the dua, رَبِّرْحَمْهُمَا كَمَا رَبَّيَانِي صَغِيرًا. رَبِّرْحَمْهُمَا. So, are we going to make the ra flat? No. Why? Because ra sakin is preceded by a hamzatul wasl. This is going to go out because we are reading, with the previous word together. But because hamzatul wasl is there, which is preceding the raw sakin, we will read the raw sakin mufakham, rounded. Rabbirhamhuma, bir, not bir, bir. Rabbirhamhuma. Okay, this one from Surah Al-Fajr towards the end. Irji'i ila rabbiki radiyatin mardiyah. That part. So now here we are actually starting from here, from the Hamzatul Wasl, right? Like then just before, there's an ending of the ayah, and then we're starting from here. So Hamzatul Wasl has a temporary kasra, right? It has to have, because the third letter, because it's a verb, third letter has a kasra. So if the third letter has a kasra or fatha, the Hamzatul Wasl will assume a kasra. If the third letter has a dhamma, Hamzatul Wasl will assume a dhamma. That's the rule. So now, in this case, it's a kasra, so Hamzatul Wasl gets a kasra. So again, raw sakin preceded by a letter which is effective, in this case, with a kasra. But the rule says no, because it's Hamzatul Wasl, so therefore we are going to make the raw mufakham, rounded. We will read this ir, not ir, not ir, but irji'i, irji'i. Okay, there you go. Now this one is actually is also very, very important, and a lot of people here in this case, they make a mistake. Okay, okay. So whenever, again, raw is sakin, so in this case we're stopping. Okay, we're stopping the end of the ayah, let's say. So raw is the last letter, has a haraka, but this haraka is going to go away because we are stopping, and the ra will become sakin. Ra will become sakin. This is going to go away. In this case also, ra will become sakin. So what do? We see a ra sakin, we look at the letter before, and then we say, okay, this one is sakin as well. Then we look at the letter before, and what did the rule say before? That if that letter has a fatha or dhamma, ra will be mufakham. Okay, but what's the exception here? Same thing here. Look, ra has ra is becomes sakin because we are stopping. Ra becomes sakin because we are stopping. Otherwise, it had the dhammatain. Here also, they have the dhammatain. But because we are stopping, ra becomes sakin, preceded by a ya sakin. Let me see. Yeah, this is ya because this is a mad here, so it's ya sakin. Here, the sukun is shown because of the letter that is has a fatha, so this becomes a lean here, lean. So now, what do we see? Ra is sakin, the letter before is sakin, and the letter before has a kasra. So how are we going to say this? Qadir. And this, in this case, we'll say khair, not khayr. Not, you see, in this case, although the letter before the previous letter is having a fatha, even then we will read the ra flat. Why? Because of the presence of ya sakin. This ya sakin is going to make this ra sakin flat. Doesn't matter what is before. Same thing is effectively the same. Is applies here. This ya sakin here and the ra sakin. But yeah, it's if you look at the letter before, it has a kasra anyways. Qadir. But in this case, khair. Both of them are going to be light. Okay, here we go. So lots of rules of ra, and let us look at some of these rules. Let us go to the mushaf now, and the page that we just read, let us go to the beginning of that page, and let's start identifying the raws. Okay, where's the first raw? Oop, right here. Okay, so here's the raw. So let me just put a little. Okay, let's identify a few of them, and then we will look at the rule. Okay. Okay, there's another one here. تحتها الأنهار. Another one here. Another one here. 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 Okay, so all of these. Now, let us look at the first one. So now you see that the raw actually has the haraka. So it makes our life very easy. We know if raw has a kasra, it will be light. If the raw had a fatha or dhamma on it, then it will be rounded or mufakham. So simply we will just make it light and we'll say wabashiril ri ra ri. How are we going to keep our mouth? Oh, sorry, the tongue. Oh, we already are there. Here. We are going to keep the tongue flat like this. It'll be flat, not raised. Let's take this away. Okay, go back to the mushaf. So we are going to make the raw flat here. Continue. And this one, the same situation as that. So therefore, again, flat, back of the tongue, relaxed, flattened as well. Tajiri. The next one, what happens to it? if we stop here, which we can because there's a pause here, Sod Lam Ya, this is one of those little you know little symbols, one of the symbols that is used to indicate that you can stop here. Okay, so if suppose we stop here, so what's going to happen when we stop here? If we stop here, then Ra is the last letter. It has a dhamma, but it will become Sakin if we stop. Now, if the Ra is Sakin, then we are going to look at the letter before. What is the letter before? Okay, if someone said Ha, I will disagree because there is a so this one here. That's this. What is that? It's Alif Maqsura. Alif Maqsura. Let us again go back and look at the chart and then remember this one here. If the Ra has a Fath or Dhamma, or I mean the sorry, Ra is Sakin. Ra is Sakin and the previous letter has a Fath or Dhamma or Alif or Waw Sakin. So we are in that situation. We are in that situation. We'll go back to Mus'haf. You see? So Ra has become Sakin, and then the letter before is actually Alif Maqsura, which is actually Alif but shortened Alif. Whenever Alif has to be written in the middle of the word, then they just write here, write a, write a little like this. This is Alif Maqsura, or in Urdu they call it Khada Zabar, which is actually Alif Maqsura. And the combination here of Ha, Alif Maqsura and Fatha is basically this. It's, it's simply Ha, that's what it is. Ha, and it is a two harakat mad. Here it is. Here is a two harakat mad. So now, as the rule says that if Ra Sakin is preceded by an Alif Maddiya, because Alif is causing the mad to happen here, then we will make the Ra Mufakham or rounded. How are we going to do it? Um, from here. تجري Ra flat here. تجري من تحتها الأنهار. الأنهار. I'm rounding the Ra. Why? Because it is preceded by a alif maddiya or alif that is causing a mad, okay, following a letter with a fatha, as expanded here. Okay, moving on. The next one here, Ra with a dhamma. So we know that Ra with a fatha or dhamma will be rounded. So how are we going to read this? كلما رزقوا Ra rounded. Ra with the dhamma rounded. Ru, ru, not ru, not ru, but ru. How do we round the Ra? How do we make it mufakham? Raise the back of the tongue. If you don't raise the back of the tongue, it's not gonna be correct. Okay, ru, ru, as opposed to ru, ru, and ru. I hope you can hear the difference. Ru, no good. Ru, that's what is desired, heavy. رُزِقُوا مِنْهَا مِنْ ثَمَرَةِ الرِّزْقَ. So now the next Ra again has a fatha, so we will make it round, mufakham. مِنْ ثَمَرَةِ الرِّزْقَ. So we made this mufakham, but then when we came here, we joined with a Ra with a kasra. ثمرة الرزق. But a lot of people, because they're used to the English R, and English R as usually is read rounded, right? So they will say, uh, they will actually say riz, riz. They will add like a, they will round the ra, ri, ri. So they are actually saying the kasra, ra with the kasra, ri, but they are putting the rounding in there, like not ri, not ri, but ri, 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 which is a big problem that needs to be addressed and needs to be corrected. So it has to be ri, rizqa, not rizqa. So you need to eliminate this W and go straight into I. Riz, riz, rizqa rather than riz. So you need to overcome that. And when you're actually doing that, so you are actually doing your tongue, you're raising the back of the tongue initially, and then re, yeah, that's what's happening. You're raising the tongue initially, and then joining with the za here. So you haven't really made the raw muraqqaq or flat. You've kept it rounded, which will be wrong. ثمرات الرزق ثمرات الرزق قالوا هذا الذي رزقنا هذا الذي again raw with the dhamma rounded heavy رزقنا من قبل وأتوا به متشابها. Continuing, ولهم فيها أزواج مطهرة. So what happened here? Ra has a fatha, so I know that I have to make it mufakham, raise the back of the tongue and make it rounded. مطهرة وهم فيها خالدون. Let's look at some more. Okay, let's see if what else appears here. Let's identify some more. إن الله لا يستحي أن يضرب مثلا ما بعوضة فما فوقها فأما الذين آمنوا فيعلمون أنه الحق من ربهم. In this case, you have a ra with a tashdid, but ra is going to be mufakham. الذين كفروا فيقولون ماذا أراد الله بهذا مثلا يضل به كثيرا ويهدي به كثيرا. Okay, so in this case ra will be muraqqaq flat yad ri yad riba an yad riba. Okay, in this case ra will be mufakham rounded heavy mir mir. See that how you merge in, not mirra, not mirrob, not mirrob, no, mir, mir, mir rabbihim. Okay, you wouldn't say mir, no, mir. You, as you're joining in, you are rounding. Mir rabbihim. الذين كفى, and the raw heavy again, raising the back of the tongue. كفروا, ru, not ru, not ru, not ru, but ru. Retract the tongue, raise the back, elevate the back. الذين كفروا فيقولون ماذا أراد الله أرى أرى را فتحة مفخم rounded أراد الله بهذا مثلا يضل به كثيرا again را فتحتين مفخم rounded heavy كثيرا ويهدي به كثيرا raw again heavy rounded مفخم. Okay, identify some more. What? Okay, this one. أمر الله به أن يرسل رسولا في الأرض. You have your raw second here. هم الخاسرون كيف تكفرون بالله وكنتم أمواتا فأحياكم ثم يميتكم ثم إليه ترجعون والذي خلق لكم ما في الأرض جميعا ثم استوى إلى السماء. Okay, so here. So Ra has a fatha. ما أمر أمر الله. So now this Ra is joining with what? Lam of Allah, the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this lam is going to be what? Flat or rounded? It will be rounded. Why? Because it is preceded by the significant letter that is before the lam of Allah, which is called what? Lamul Jalala. Lamul Jalala is preceded by a letter with a fatha. So Lamul Jalala will be mufakham, rounded. So Ra, rounded. Lam, rounded. Amarallah. Amarallahu. Round, round. Okay, this one here. Fil ar. Fil ard. Ardi, or if you stop here, dot becomes sakin. Fil ard. Ard. Ra, rounded. Why? Ra, sorry, Ra sakin here will be rounded. Why? Preceded, it is preceded by a hamza with a fatha. Ra sakin preceded by a fatha or letter with a fatha. So therefore Ra sakin will be rounded, heavy. Fil ardi or ard. And this one here. Humul khasirun. Heavy again, Ra with a dhamma. كيف تكفرون. Again, Ra heavy, raise the back of the tongue. Ru. كيف تكفرون بالله وكنتم. Again, you can keep on going, and we'll do this one here. إليه ترجعون. Now, yeah, he's hit a raw sakin here. Raw sakin, look at the previous letter. It has a dhamma. So if it has a fatha or dhamma, raw sakin will be rounded. ترجعون. Raw heavy. Here, the last one. ما في الأرض. أرض. Why raw? Raw second. Why rounded? Because preceded by a fatha. Hamza with a fatha. في الأرض جميعا. Okay, and then, okay, we are almost at the end of the page. So we have done most of the, or almost all of the page. Just a little bit left. There's no Ra's here. Okay, Alhamdulillah. So we looked at the situations in this page, but then we, of course, we did not hit all of the different scenarios of Ra, but it's okay. We will get, because we did look at the examples. Okay, in the Tajweed notes, we did look at the examples. Uh, okay, so inshallah, we will recite this page soon, but let us see now where we are as far as um, the rules are concerned. So we did the raw rules of raw as such, or overall rules of raw, and whether they are whether the raw is mutaharrik, meaning having haraka, or whether it is sakin. We have looked at all the rules. Yep, we did all the rules. Okay. Let us move. Oh, this is a big one. And then next topic is a big one. Okay. But not only is a big one, it's a very important one as well, because you get a lot of these situations occurring a lot. It's a very frequent occurrence. rules of Noon, Sakin, and Tanween, the application is uh, is very frequent. So we need to become experts of these, or this particular rule, or the sub rules of under the rules of Noon, Sakin, and Tanween. Okay, so let's touch it now, and inshallah, I think we'll have to for sure we'll have to do major part of it next week. But let's at least get a little taste of it today. So, rule the rules of Nun, Sakin, and Tanween, or you can say the sub rules are four. Four. Okay, what are they? The first one, Noon, Sakin, and okay, actually here actually they're just explaining the different notations. So they're not into rules yet, but they're explaining what are the different notations. Okay, how the notations are written in the Mus'haf, and how do we have to look at them. So here the first one, Noon Sakin, can be represented in these three ways. Okay, Noon with a sukoon on top. This is Noon with a sukoon on top. Noon with nothing on top or bottom, nothing, just Noon itself. And Noon with a little meme on top. See, Noon has a little meme, little meme. That's what it is. Okay. So now, okay, so this one also, this is a sukoon as well as is also called jazm. Jazm. You can call it jazm or sukoon. Basically, it means that this letter does not have a vowel with it. Okay, and if the noon or any letter has a fatha as a vowel, na. If it has a kasra, it's a vowel, ni. And if it has a dhamma, it's a vowel, nu. Okay, and if the if the noon has a sukoon, that means it there is no movement. Okay, it's sakin, and this symbol is also called jazm. Okay, so noon can the noon that is will be appearing in the or where we will be applying the rules of noon, sakin, and tanween will be appearing in this way here. We will look at them inshallah soon. Okay, now the tanween. What is tanween? Tanween is again fathatain, fathatain. Okay, kasratain. So let me just say maybe okay, fathatain, kasratain under or below the letter, fathatain above the letter, and dhammatain above the letter. So you will see tanween like this. You will also see tanween like this, where the bottom of the you have the like an equal sign, right? You have like an equal sign, but the bottom of the equal sign is like as if it's slipping away, like it's slipping away like this. So whenever you see this, I say, oh, okay, so this has a certain meaning. It is still tanween. This is still tanween, but it will help us do our tanween. The rule of nun sakin and tanween, it will help us apply it properly. So it's like a visual check or visual help. And then dhammatain, you see dhammatain here is appearing like two, like a comma like this, and another one on top like this, which is this one here. Or dhammatain is like one on top of the other like this. So dhammatain can appear like this as well. So tanween is just a generic term for fathatain, kasratain, or dhammatain. Then you will see also tanween appear like this, like you have the fatha. So like you have the fatha, right? You have a fatha, but then what they do is they actually, let's say, take the top one and they turn it into a meme. Sometimes it's written like that, sometimes it's written like this, a bit more shortened, but effectively what they're doing is that they're taking one of those lines and converting it into a meme. because effectively that's what happens when we actually read. That's what happens. Okay, we will talk about it inshallah. So you have fatha and meme on top, dhamma and meme on top, and kasra and meme on top. So this is also the notation you will see. All of these notations will be actually applying or will be applied towards the rules of Noon, Sakin, and Tanween, and we will see. Okay, so what does the note say here? Tanween only occurs at the end of nouns except for two verbs. Okay, whereas Noon Sakina may occur anywhere in a word in the middle or at the end. So this is something that we should try to remember. Okay, here are the four sub rules of Noon, Sakin, and Tanween. What are they? Idhar or Idhar Halaqi. Sometimes just call Idhar. Or you can say Idhar Halaqi. Idhar Halaqi. Second one is Idgham or assimilation. Idgham. Third sub rule is Iqlab. Iqlab. Okay, and the fourth sub rule is Ikhfa or Ikhfa Haqiqi. Ikhfa meaning hiding here. Okay, these are the four sub rules. Okay, let's see what is coming right after. I hope all of you have actually downloaded these notes. Right, they're right here. Okay, the Tajweed notes that I am actually using. The PDF copy is here. The mouth pictures that I will show you, the JPEG is right here. And Hamzatul Wasl rules. Okay, I have just referred to some right now in our discussion, but inshallah we will look at them in a bit more detail, just a few sheets. Okay, download these and keep it with you inshallah, so that you can always open them later on and then look at them at your own leisure whenever you are either going through the recording or on your own inshallah. Okay, going back. Whoa, where am I now? Okay, so now we start with the first sub rule, idhar or idhar halaqi. So idhar means clear. Idhar means clear. Idhar letters are, or the letters that cause idhar to happen, okay, are six letters. The six throat letters. What are the six throat letters? Hamza, ha, ain, ha, ghain, kha. Okay, we should memorize it like this. What are the six throat letters? Hamza, ha, ain, ha, ghain, kha. Again, Hamza, ha, ain, ha, ghain, kha. These are the six throat letters. Let us just look at them as well, and in the mouth pictures. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now you can see. Okay, these are the throat letters. The six throat letters starting from Hamza, Al Hamzatu, Wal Ha, right here, Wal Ha, Al Hamza, Wal Ha, and then Ain and Ha, Ain and Ha, and Ghain and Kha, Ghain and Kha. So now, how do we do it? How, where does Hamza and Ha come from? Hamza, Ha, right at the bottom of the throat. The bottom of the throat, right here. Hamza ha from here. And the sound of the Hamza, whenever it is mutaharrik, it will be ah. Okay, although the name is like Hamza, but we don't say like with the fatha or with the kasra or dhamma say Hamza or Hamzi or Hamzu or who. We don't. That's not how it is used. Although its name starts with a ha, but its sound is like a uh, uh, okay, Hamza. So it comes from here, and ha, Hamza ha. Next one, middle of the throat, Ain ha. Ain ha. This is where you can actually play with your muscles here, the throat muscles. Okay, and you can basically say, well, it's like a choking sound, like if somebody saying ah, choking or ha, ha. So inside these muscles here, muscles in this area here, you you basically contract the muscles in such a way that you create a a smaller aperture or a smaller um, let's say channel. So if the channel of the air is like this, what you're doing basically you're squeezing the muscles and you are making the path of the air um, like a tighter, like a smaller path, like making like an aperture here. So when the air comes out, it goes through a little bit of difficulty, but it does go through. It goes through. Ain and ha. Okay. So the muscles here in this area here, the muscles in this area, we contract them or we have to get used to it. We move them in such a way that there is like the hole here gets small and it sort of gives you a choking sound. Ain, Ain and Ha. And the last one, the top of the throat, here. Ghain and Kha. Ghain and Kha. So these are the 6 throat letters. So whenever any of these throat letters follow Noon Sakin or Tanween, then we will have the situation of Idhar Halaqi. That's the situation. We will look at that inshallah in more detail in the next lecture. Let us now go to the next page and recite the page before we will leave. Okay, so let us make this page big. Okay, let us start reciting. Please follow me. Read along with me. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. وإذ قال ربك للملائكة إني جاعل في الأرض خليفة قالوا أتجعل فيها من يفسد فيها ويسفك الدماء ونحن نسبح بحمدك ونقدس لك قال إني أعلم ما لا تعلمون وعلم آدم الأسماء كلها ثم عرضهم على الملائكة فقال أنبئوني بأسماء هؤلاء إن كنتم صادقين. قالوا سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. قال يا آدم أنبئهم بأسمائهم فلما أنبأهم بأسمائهم قال ألم أقل لكم إني أعلم غيب السماوات والأرض وأعلم ما تبدون وما كنتم تكتمون. وإذ قلنا للملائكة اسجدوا لآدم فسجدوا إلا إبليس أبى فسجدوا إلا إبليس أبى واستكبر وكان من الكافرين. وقلنا يا آدم اسكن أنت وزوجك الجنة وكلا منها رغدا حيث شئتما ولا تقربا هذه الشجرة فتكونا من الظالمين. فأزلهما الشيطان عنها فأخرجهما مما كانا فيه وقلنا اهبطوا بعضكم لبعض عدو ولكم في الأرض مستقر ومتاع إلى حين. فتلقى آدم من ربه كلمات فتاب عليه إنه هو التواب الرحيم. صدق الله العظيم. So we stop here inshallah and we'll see you all And if you know anyone else who might be interested, they can always go and join here. We can just go and click on this link here, and this is good enough. They will appear like as you see, they appear like the IP address. Okay, so these people are coming from somewhere else, but they can also register from I mean onto using this link here. You can register, and this is a free registration. There's no registration fees here, but the advantage of that is that if you want, you can always ask questions and stuff like that. Up till now, I guess everyone is, mashallah, understanding everything. So there haven't been any questions. Mashallah, great. Yeah. Or you can always, write them and send them to me on my Skype account on the Skype here. So either, whatever works for you. But as I said, that it's an open course. Anyone can join, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, accept this effort, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it a means for make it a means for reciting the kalam, his kalam, in a correct manner, and thereby please him, that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We seek the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with this effort. Subhanallah wa bihamdih, subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik, wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant, nastaghfiruk wa natubu ilayk.